To today's embodied cooking class, we are going to make broccoli nachos. These two enormous, almost comically enormous crowns of broccoli. And I'm going to show you how to do this. And it really is exactly how it sounds. It's nachos, but with broccoli instead of chips. But before we start that, like every class, I want us to start with just a little tiny bit of breath work and setting an intention. Because what we're doing here today, and what we do every time, that's so, so important, is we're not just cooking, we're kind of retraining, we're training our mind and our body to really be with exactly what is actually happening and not with our preconceived notions of what is happening. So if you're someone who thinks, I don't really like cooking, or I just got to get through this to like get the food on the table, you're going to be bringing all of that expectation that this isn't enjoyable, this is frustrating. You're going to be thinking in your mind about all kinds of other things while you're doing it that are going to be a distraction from the actual experience of doing it. And that's okay. We all do that. It really is okay. But what we're doing here, and why we're doing it, is we're trying to practice being here with just exactly what's happening for this express purpose of noticing that we actually feel good when we do this. We actually feel good when we do this. And if we don't feel good, where is that coming from and why? What is the thought that's connected with that? What's the memory that's connected with that? What's the sensation in the body that's connected to that? And how does that then affect my behavior in the moment? These are so, so, so important. And that's what we're working with today. So I'd invite you to just bring your palms to heart center. And ground your feet into the floor if you're standing, or your sits bones into the ground or the pillow, anything you're sitting on. And just set your intention for this class today, for this practice. And let's just take 3 deep, easy breaths together. In through the nose, out through the nose. And then we're just going to do a very short bit of alternate nostril breathing. This is called Nadi Shodhana. It feels a little bit complicated at first, but it's a very effective way to calm ourselves down and even us out. When we breathe through one nostril and then out the other, back and forth, it actually balances our sort of hemispheres of the brain. It's really cool and calms us down. So I'm going to just show you how we do this. We'll bring our hand up to our face and take your ring finger and block your left nostril. You can either sort of let your fingers rest on your forehead, or you can curl your fingers down, whatever you like. And then your thumb will be the one that blocks your right nostril when we get to that point. Make sense? Yeah. So we're going to breathe, we're going to block our left nostril, and we're going to breathe into our right nostril. Just easily up to the peak. Pause, and then we are going to block our right nostril with our thumb and breathe out the left side. Then pause at the bottom and breathe in through the left. Pause, pinch the left again, and breathe out through the right. And continue. with the purpose of slowly but surely just elongating the breath. We're not pushing or forcing ourselves to go longer than we need to. We're not holding. We're just naturally allowing the breath to get longer and longer as that becomes available to us, as our body settles into comfort and safety, as we really ground into our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest, calm nervous system, our breaths will naturally want to be longer and slower. Get your last exhale out of the right side. Just release the breathing technique. And just think about your intention one more time. And then let's just gently open our eyes and begin. So broccoli nachos. We're going to start by turning the oven on to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Great. 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to start by roasting the broccoli just on its own. So that means we have to chop it up. And maybe you're thinking, I don't love broccoli, but this is an interesting idea. You could absolutely do this with cauliflower. You could do this with chunks of butternut squash or any squash, your favorite. I have to say I was reminded why I so often say butternut squash specifically. And it's because it has such a nice shape that is so much easier to peel. For example, the glorious acorn squash. This is a half acorn squash. Wonderful to roast with skin on, but when you're trying to have pieces that don't have the skin on because you want to just be able to eat it, takes so long to get into all these nooks and crannies. So butternut squash is where it's at, I'm telling you. But anyway, this could be done with sort of any roasted vegetable. And then we're kind of just treating it to a nacho topping experience, which is a lot of fun. Cheesy, delicious nachos. But instead of the lovely crispy chips, we're having lovely crispy, flavorful broccoli, which gets roasted, and some of the bitterness comes out of it, and you get to have that wonderful. It has a beautiful texture in many ways like chips, but also lighter. And it can hold up, the chunks of broccoli can really hold up to the cheese and the beans and all these things we're adding. I'm a fan of this. And I think, nachos you might think of nachos as a really quick weeknight dinner, which they totally are. Maybe not the best for you, but totally serviceable. And this maybe takes a little bit longer which it does. We have to roast the broccoli first and chop it up. But I think it's a really nice alternative. This is not going to be going to replace nachos in your rotation, but this is a nice alternative. And I did end up getting these crowns today because that was all that was available at the grocery store. I usually like the kind with the stems. I like broccoli stems quite a lot. As you can see, I kind of cut them up first and put them on the bottom. Sometimes they can take a little longer to cook, but I think so long as everything's about the same size, I should be good. I'm just kind of chopping everything into similar sized pieces, using my own judgment and discernment, not overthinking it. Is that definitely the right? Oh, I think these are a little smaller than those. It's okay. It's going to be fine. It's all going to be fine. That I really feel is sort of my mantra for today. Everything is going to be okay. And all of this is good for my own benefit. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety and sort of heightened emotions the last little while. I think the holiday season is a little hard for me personally, and I know so many other people. I'm not strange in that way. I'm trying to remind myself that feeling something difficult does not actually mean I am in danger. It just means I'm feeling something difficult. And this is a great place to work on that. I love the sounds. And all the little tiny little bits of broccoli falling out. This is going to be a lot of broccoli. Like, they're giant heads. And that's the thing, right? Like, I remember when I wrote this recipe, I said something like 2 to 3 large crowns of broccoli. But these are not even large. These are like, what's the next level? Like enormous, super enormous, giant. And so I'm definitely only going to use 2. And even then, I think we're going to be a little bit crowded in the pan here, but that's okay. I mean, it's true that when we're roasting, the sort of general best practice for the best results, really, of like crispy, even cooked everything, is we want to just have sort of one layer of everything and have air in between everything. But we're going to pile this on a little bit because I just want to have a larger quantity. And that might compromise somewhat the sort of perfect roastingness. But I'm going to make that choice consciously because I want to have more broccoli. And I'm okay with that if it doesn't work out perfectly. How do you feel about raw broccoli? Definitely think it's better cooked. But as I chomp on it, I notice it's funny with raw vegetables. Sometimes you think it's sort of more strong tasting when it's raw. But it's not always. Like, I actually think you get more flavor of broccoli when it's cooked. We'll test this theory. I'll have one afterwards, but there's a more sort of overall even flavor of broccoli when it's cooked versus this sort of sharp taste and just very watery. And so when we cook the water out in the oven and it dries out, you're left with more of the actual flavor. And it mellows as well. And of course, it's going to blend with all these other flavors. All right. It's already looking like a lot. So I don't think we're going to be able to use this whole thing. Maybe if I used, you know what would be a good idea for this? How about a bigger sheet? Okay, here we go. I was thinking this roasting tray looks so pretty, but it's so much smaller. Oh yeah, much better. Now we have space for all the broccoli we want. Yes, success. Because really, broccoli is not super calorie dense. So I'm going to eat like a big chunk of this. If I want to serve a few people, I need it to be a bigger tray. Oh, wonderful. Our oven is already ready. I'm going to speed up just a little bit here. But if you're at home and you want to go slower, you know I love that. You know, going fast is not a bad thing. I don't often talk about that. I think it's just that we want to be conscious, right? Like everything about when we choose to go fast and slow. I think it's that sort of automatic, oh my gosh, I should be going fast because why? Because you're hungry? Okay, that's a reason. Because other people are waiting, because you want it to be over with. Well, it's not that they're bad reasons or anything. But sometimes when we're hurrying and going fast, and it's really that there's a difference between going fast and rushing, hurrying. That feeling, at least for me, the feeling of rushing is just pure anxiety. And nothing good ever happens in that state for me. Nothing. Like rushing to the airport, I am definitely going to forget something. Or I'm going to be convinced I forgot something, even if I didn't, because my brain is not fully present to even experience what's happening in front of me. But the feeling going fast when your nervous system is calm, like it is right now for me, is actually a beautiful, vital feeling. Like it feels really powerful. Like, oh, look at me go. Look how quick I can go. This is fun. It's not accompanied with any sense of rushing or anxiety. It's like play. So pick your speed consciously. And as it's also as simple as just as your knife skills develop. You'll notice you have the ability and maybe the desire to go quickly. You should follow that. Okay. So we're going to put some olive oil and salt and cook these for about 15 minutes. I'm going to use my fingers as usual. Overall, I think that's about a half teaspoon, maybe a little bit more of salt. I'm not going to salt. I would normally probably put about a whole teaspoon over this, but because we're going to be adding cheese and black beans to it afterwards, that's going to be nice and salty. I'm not going to do too much. Just a light drizzle of olive oil over everything. Again, as you can see, I'm not measuring. but I'd say that's probably a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more of olive oil. And then I'm going to get them with my hands in an effort to distribute the oil and the salt evenly. Never really thought about this, but I was like, I say I'm trying to do that evenly, and actually I can feel with my hand. It's really interesting. My hands can feel. Our hands are so subtle, like their ability to feel and differentiate between different things. I'm closing my eyes to really focus on it. I can feel where the olive oil is. I can't really feel the salt, but here and there, little bits of it. And I can feel it because oil has the specific, greasy, you could call it, but the specific feel against everything. And also the aroma of the olive oil is coming up into my nose really strongly. It's just cool wow. It's just neat to realize how sensitive we are in our bodies. Oh, like, look at this. Now this is genuinely evenly coated. I can see, look, these are darker green. They're brighter because they have oil all over them. "15 minutes on the timer." And that's the hardest part done. I'm just going to deal with all these leftover broccoli bits. Ooh. Put it in my compost. Awesome. Fresh new cloth here. Clean up my knife. And we'll prepare the nacho toppings now. I'm almost getting, gosh, I think I really needed that nervous system, that nadi shodhana, the breathing technique we did earlier. I'm feeling awesome now. So relaxed. May also be that difference. I've been in a more stressed state the last few days. Not that I don't have any, I was kind of being judgmental of myself when I said that, like, could you believe she was stressed? You're supposed to not be stressed. I get stressed all the time. Constantly. Life is stressful. Something to accept. We'll move in and out of stressful states constantly. And the thing is, stress and the hormones associated with them, the cortisol and all these things, they're there for our benefit, right? To move us through something that needs to be done. Sometimes really quickly, we really do need to respond to. And the key to our health and well-being is just to know when to let go of those stress, because the problem comes when we are in a state of stress and then we just stay in it. And we don't move in and out of our two different nervous systems. Maybe one day I'll pull out a chart for you guys, but our nervous system is meant to go in and out of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic all day. That's healthy. Rev up to do something, come down, rev up, come down. That's good. That's working exactly as it's supposed to. The problem is when it ends up like this, it just stays there and then we crash and we feel horrible. And the only way to sort of get into our rest and digest is with this crash, and it messes with our hormones. And because all our systems are also interconnected and interwoven, there can be problems then in so many parts of our bodies. So, which is why, of course, we constantly hear about how bad stress is for us. And then that leads to then me going, ooh, I'm bad because I was stressed even in this moment. It's like, it's not bad or good. It's a fact of being human. And the other really cool fact of being human is we have these, our bodies are actually built to process stress. That's literally what I'm doing right now. I'm just showing you how I like to do it and inviting you to do the same. So, cheese, because these are broccoli nachos. And of course, if you are eschewing dairy or you're vegan or whatever, you could use an alternative cheese or skip the cheese, actually, because we have other nice toppings. The cheese feels pretty important. Some type of cheese to the nacho experience. And I'm using a cheddar that I have. You could do, I think, Monterey Jack, or, I mean, literally anything. You could make this like a more Italian feeling thing by doing, yeah, I mean, just choose your own adventure in terms of cheese. Choose the one that you like, that your family likes. I don't think it's actually really important. The flavors will all be delicious. Cheese is salty and sharp and gooey and oily, and the fat will marry well with the crispy bits on the broccoli. And so whatever is your favorite version of that is going to be wonderful. And I'm using a box grater here. I don't really like to buy the pre-shredded cheese personally. I know a lot of people do, and that's great. Go for it if it's your preference. For me, I don't like it because it costs a lot more, and I find that it's always kind of dry and doesn't actually melt as well as when you do it this way. And I like the option to slice it or have chunks. It appears that I've gone for like the full 8 ounces of cheese here, so I've grated all of this, and we'll see if we actually want to use it. That's a big tray of broccoli. So I'm feeling like this was a good call, but this is a lot. I might set some of this aside for something else later. Because even covered in cheese, sadly, my daughter will not eat these broccoli nachos. She is truly prejudiced against broccoli at this point in her life. Will it change? We'll see. Next we have, I have broccoli on the floor, ready to trip me up. I really like adding beans. Again, I think because I like to serve nachos as like a meal. And sort of classically like chips and cheese, like, I mean, whatever. That's like a grilled cheese sandwich. That's like mac and cheese. There's so many things. Chips and cheese are enough. But the beans will add just a little bit more protein and body and just a feel of being a slightly fuller meal. And at what cost? Opening a can? This is not a big deal. Okay. We have broccoli, we have beans, we have cheese, some scallions. Okay. I'm going to set aside some of this cheese in case I don't need it all. And then if I do need it all, I'll just grab this. I'm going to set that aside because I don't even know if this ultimately makes much of a difference, but I feel like it's a cool idea. I don't have like anything spicy right now. I don't have any chilies. And so I thought, wouldn't it be kind of fun to maybe like This might not go great. We'll see. Add some hot sauce to the cheese. And if you had a more like an interesting one, like I have some leftover, a very small amount, so I didn't want to use it, of this. I'll show you. It's this cool chili paste with basil leaves. It's this like more chunky, really aromatic chili sauce. And as you can see, it's like little sort of pieces of, I guess I'll just use the tiny bit that I have left over. And I felt like mixing that all up in with the cheese could be a really nice way to sort of distribute a little bit of spice all over everything, rather than a big chunk of jalapeno. And since I don't have that option, I just thought, why not try something else? Oh, it smells amazing. Honestly, I've written about this in my cookbooks lots. Chili and cheddar, chili and cheese, to me is one of the most unbelievably pleasurable smells. It's just getting better and better. I'm actually go to another plane of existence from smelling this. This is just truly so divine to me. Oh, so if nothing else, if this doesn't do much, particularly, I got to have this experience of just the holy goodness of chili and cheese mixed together, just filling my senses with pleasure. Oh. Who knew you could just like get high on a smell? You can get high on the breath. You can get high on an aroma. You can get high on just noticing how good you feel doing something so simple. Now scallions, the last. Actually, no, I'm going to do some tomatoes too. Yeah. How much time do we have? 4 minutes. Yeah. 4 minutes till it comes out. Okay, wait a second. These scallions, I got to get rid of the little onion bits that are not so nice to get in your mouth. The crispy, usually a good thing, but not that like papery, crispy, the outer layer of the onion, the protective layer. I'm glad it's there. It does its job very well. I appreciate it, but don't want to eat it. I'm just going to chop these guys into rounds. Little bits. As you can see, and again, until I really thought about this, I didn't even realize this is what I'm doing, but I'm using my senses as I get closer to these ends that begin to sort of be dried out. I can feel with my knife and with my eyes, I'm using all of my senses to notice the parts that I don't want to have, that would not be so pleasant for my mouth. Again, how did I do that? How did I know to do that? Literally just listening to what the feel of it is. And you think, well, I can't do that. I don't have that kind of experience. Maybe not right away, but you can. Just from listening to your senses, it's really all there. You naturally are born with that ability. Okay. Now we're going to do some tomatoes. And especially at this time of year, when tomatoes are not so good, I do enjoy getting these little baby ones because they tend to be more flavorful. But if you have any kind of tomato, that'll be great. Or you could skip the tomato and just drizzle salsa all over. Tomato salsa or tomatillo, like whatever you prefer, green or red, anything. Whatever random salsa you happen to have in your fridge. I'm quartering these. Just thinking about what's a nice size I would like to have in my mouth. Going with that. This is not the correct way. This is the way I am doing it. You could choose the way you want to do it, and that is the correct way. And all of these amounts, I believe I've given quantities for everything in the recipe, as always, which is just nice to have that guide. But as you can see, I'm really not measuring. And that's because when it comes to natural things, just like with the broccoli, with tomatoes, with scallions, it's just like, you gotta eyeball it. Like, I don't want to ask, it always seems so silly to say like 8 ounces exactly of this thing, or a cup of chopped broccoli. It's like the piece of broccoli that you have, one of them, this is what we want to be able to do. And that means, of course, that things are going to turn out a little bit differently. But that's good. In cooking, things not turning out exactly the same each time is fine. It can be a bit more chaotic when it comes to baking. Or something like this. It's totally fine. Okay. So I had us at 15 minutes, and this is looking great. Oh, yeah, things are turning green. This is not cooked completely through because we're going to put it back in with all these toppings on, but it's really looking nice. You can see we have some darker bits. Everything is bright green. I can feel these stems are like not done. There's a crispness to them. And so 5 more minutes may get them a little further along, but I actually don't like to super cook the broccoli because if it's a little crispy, it's like chips. So we're gonna start with our cheese, our chili sauce infused cheese, which is now kind of falling in funny chunks because of the wetness. That's okay. I still feel really good about this. I also feel really good about choosing this big pan so you can have maximum coverage. Everything isn't just sort of piled on top. See, that looked like a lot of cheese, but this is like a great amount for what we have going here. I probably could use the whole amount. I think if you like it really cheesy, go for it. I love cheese. I really do. But one thing I have learned over the years, especially when it comes to like pizza and things where you are covering something with cheese, is actually less is more. Because cheese, when it's melty, just gets so heavy and it really takes over everything. And you kind of think like, oh, I want lots of cheese. Yeah. But it's like it very quickly becomes too much, and then you immediately aren't enjoying it as much as you want to. And the key to something like cheese is we want to really taste it. We want to enjoy it. And it's there to enhance the other flavors, not to just bog them down. So just try doing slightly less, just sometime as an experiment, slightly less than you might normally think you want, and see what that's like. And actually look for the pleasure of it, not to do it because you're like, oh, I shouldn't have much cheese, because that's not the reason to do it. It's not to say to the self, you shouldn't be eating so much cheese. This is bad for you. This is too fatty, whatever those messages are. It's actually about finding the maximum pleasure that the cheese can give you in the dish. And it's just truly a less is more situation for me in my experience. Now we're going to do the black beans. I'm just going to kind of, ooh, this is fun. It's like rain and black beans. Hallelujah. I'm not going to keep going with that. It's too embarrassing, even for you guys. Okay. Black beans. Pretty. I think. There's like black beans. It's funny they're called black beans, but they're like deep purpley brown. They're quite beautiful against that green and the red. Like, look at all these colors we have going. Now, huge amounts of scallions over top. Look how beautiful this is. Like, come on. This is like roasted vegetable magnificence over here. Oh my goodness. I am feeling very good about this. Okay. Ooh. Still a little hot, so back in we go. For 5 minutes, let's say. I think that's probably what the recipe says. Seems like something I would say. Nice round number. So we have 5 minutes, and look, we're done. And all I need to do is just clean up. I'm gonna put my leftover cheese just in the fridge. Probably make something with my daughter for supper tonight with that. Okay, I'm going to just put this into the compost. And I'm not going to make you watch me mindfully do dishes, although maybe someday we could do that. Instead, let's just do, we have 3.5 minutes. Just drop really quickly. See how quickly we can drop into a meditation. Let's think back to where we were at the beginning after our alternate nostril breathing. The deepest point of focus, calm. Let's just go be right back there. Allow your hands to be wherever feels right in your lap. Just clasp between at heart center if you like. There's something so grounding about that. Let your breaths be easy. And feel the breath moving. Of course, in our lungs, we know that consciously. We are aware that the breath goes in through our nose, down our throat, into our lungs, fills it up, goes back out. But our breath, we can feel our breath in our entire body. Because the breath brings oxygen into our body, and that immediately gets dispelled into the blood and moves through our entire body. This is the physical thing, but we feel it. So allow the breath to move around your body to anywhere that is still feeling tension, tightness. Just ask your body to bring that into your awareness so that you can breathe into it and let it go. And let it go. Breathe in all that goodness, all our experience. We are safe. Everything is good. Everything's going to work out. Everything is in our benefit. Breathe out any tension, any memories, any anxiety that's still clinging there. Allow your posture to just reflect the lack of tension, the goodness you feel. And we're going to have a beeping. That's going to interrupt us, bring us back up to the surface. Gently open our eyes. Ask a timer to please not go again. Let's check on our broccolis. Ooh, it smells so good. Okay, so what I'm checking for about doneness here, so 5 minutes, could probably go longer if you would prefer that. The broccoli would be a little softer. You could get more crisp bits. The cheese could be more baked, crispy. I personally like it to still be kind of gooey. So let me show you. And at this point, you could also add, actually I have some tiny avocados on here, but they're so not ripe yet. We could do avocados, salsa, guacamole, all that stuff. But we're just going to leave it here for today. Show you what this is like. Oh, so here we go. So this is covered in gooey cheese, a little black bean, a tomato, and it's steaming. Oh, man. It's really good. And you know what my favorite part is? The chili sauce, the hot sauce over the cheese. Oh, boy. Is this a hack that I've just invented? Is that what this is? Put hot sauce all over your cheese before you put it on nachos? Sure. It's really good, really effective. Anyway, I'm delighted. The whole experience was delightful. I feel wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to say goodbye for today, and I will see you at next week's class. Please let me know if you have any requests for the future. I'm always thrilled to make anything. This process can be done with anything. Let's experience that together. Let me know. Thank you so much. Bye.